Good work, baby. Good evening, all. We are definitely going to be messing around with some different stuff tonight. Put up some stuff for some flatters, and we're going to bunch of these little offcuts, basically. I figured we'd make a couple little mushrooms out of them. Got some sapwood, heartwood, craft shows are coming, so always a good simple little item to have on the table, I think. There, we're going small. We can go in a little closer. There we go. Pretty much spindle work. These have been roughed down actually using the skew. It's kind of a simple little shape to make. The tool rest at skew height though. Wouldn't work so well with the gouge. Actually, these are not even straight true. Close enough. Do have a live center point, so I gotta get rid of 1/8 of an inch is not a quarter of an inch up there. I think we'll use the smaller one. Little guy's probably gonna end out there, maybe. I like them to have an undercut rim. Just me. That's it's way too fat. Sorry if I stick my head in. I'm trying to see what the diameter is up here versus what it is up there. I want this diameter to be a little bit smaller than what it is up there. And that sharp edge. Really should have gotten rid of this. Put that up there. Not a good move. Not enough support to do that. Probably chatter. Sounded like it chattered a bit. I don't like to do much sanding on these. I'll do this on this kind of material. I'll sand them a little bit. Probably put a little finish on them maybe. A little too pointy up there. looks better. Good enough, I guess. I'm gonna do that without a little dust collection. It is won't. Got a little bit more refined in the cutoff plays. Rather than running my fingers into something that might. Sure. Pretty much it for that little one. I have quite a few of them ready, but I don't. I don't necessarily always have the temperament to sit here and do multiple things, multiple ones of the same thing. Kind of reminds me of doing production type work, so it's just sort of trying to get the brain in the right order. I think we will put a little actual finish on this. This is the Parfix 3408 slow setting CA glue. Very simple to use, especially for something like this. I use it on everything, but something like this is a good place to start with something like that. You've never used before. You know how much time involved. Walnut is actually very thirsty though. So what we're trying to do is saturate it to where it doesn't, where it sits on the surface, it isn't being absorbed in. Like I say, walnut's kind of thirsty. Or basically what we're doing is filling up the pores of the wood with the super glue. And it has the 40-second time delay like it does. That means we can take our time. And we're going to wipe off the excess. Using a dry paper towel. And you'll get some come off. It's typical. It's what you want. That's it. One coat and done. That's all you need. I'm going to hit it with a little bit of activator just so that I can take it out of it. I don't really need to take this out, I don't think. Okay, it doesn't really matter. Got a place to grab it back here. That's it. One little mushroom. I'll show you here in a little bit what I've done. I used to just take them and just use a parting tool and cut them off. And it's kind of like, well, he just doesn't really care about that. Where I have a little bit of a jam chuck that sort of repurposed for something else. So I'll jam that between centers to get rid of the last little bit. I do have a little platter that I want to do. Like I say, it is craft show season is getting close, for sure. But one of the things I take to a craft show is tops. So always a good thing to have a little bit of a flat plate or something like that, because everybody wants to know whether they spin right, with good reason. And, so this will go between centers. Yes, you want to wipe off the excess in this one here, in that particular one. There is another one, a 3460, that you can put multiple coats on, like if you're finishing, like most people would finish a pen or something like that. You don't have a center point on that side. Why not? It will start to set up for one. But yeah, that particular one you have to wipe off the excess. Can't leave it. If you leave it sit, it will not dry smooth. Somehow it's not going to scratch that. There we have 3/4. So it's easier up. Measure settlement side. We'll just give it an eyeball metal. Not necessarily the best way of doing that, but it'll work. Also has a bit of a knot hole in there. So let's see, that has to be the bottom where the knot's at, of course. This is out of the crotch. This is some feathered material going through there. It also has a little bit of discolored in and knot there. This may actually end up being a waste of time. This may end up being very small because I didn't see that other. This one too. Knots in other inopportune places. But it's sort of worth a try. Doesn't work, it doesn't work. It's way out of whack. This is one of them bright ideas where you say, I can do this and cut something away. A little bit of mold growing in there. Definitely not the best idea to have that. There, there. Something like this. May end up being a whole lot smaller than what it is. So we'll flatten out. That actually is starting to crack right there. So we'll flatten out this side and see what we can get out of it. It's going to be one that's probably going to take a little bit of patience with it. It's definitely not going to let me spin it very fast for one, being totally out of whack like it is. Yeah, some discolored area at least anyhow. Still got quite a ways to go to get down to that level. Always helps when it comes loose on you too. Probably one of the good parts of using the stud finish for some of this kind of stuff. Definitely has some hardness to it. We are very close. It's going to have a little bit of a curve, so that will go away. That little cross-colored area, a little bit of that left. This last little bit. I think we're going to grab it with a pretty big, pretty big grip, just because it's what I want it to end up being. I want a pretty big foot on it, so I think we'll use the, I don't know what they are, 4.5 inch jaws. Pretty big. So, because we can always take more away, but we can't put it back, so they're going to be out in there right about that stupid knot. And I'm just going to have to live with that, I guess. Scribe with the left, match up with the right. Don't let the right touch. You can restrict it, but not. I think that'll be all right too. I should come out here and clean up this face as best as what we can. So we know where we're going to. I don't really remember what this stuff was. Usually a cross piece. It's definitely hard, or it has a little bit of something in because it feels like it took the edge right off the tool. Those are not coming through. They're not quite round there yet. Try sharper gouge. See if it'll cut cleanly across there. It's got some nice, like I said, it's got some nice feather figure to it. It's just the fact that it's sticking knot. Getting closer to being in balance. Have to be nice and strong. And the knots. Well, that one's going to go away, hopefully. While we're here, I'm trying to sneak around this side. See if I can't get a little bit of this up here cleaned up. I know where we're going to. think we're flat. It sounds like it. Sounds like you quit knocking anyhow. Yep. More look at this. I think this is a maple piece. This is turning like it's some hard maple. Let's go shorter on the tool rest. A bit of an angle because we're going to give it an angle, a little bit of a curve from that foot up into here. Try and get rid of as much of that as I can. That very well could be, they're sort of in line, so it's probably going from there to there. It's probably an extra little branch or something, maybe. Now we're pretty much balanced up, so now we can make it spin a little quicker. We're just going to sort of leave it as simple of a shape as what we can. It'd be really nice to get rid of more of that. We should be able to. That sort of wants to fall off right there anyhow. Both places. This one's going to be a problem child because then it would be really thin right there. All we can do is try a little bit more. I think I'm going to, before I try a little bit more, I think I'll go over here and sharpen both of these quick. Definitely some stuff in there that took the edge off of that pretty quickly. Don't take much on the flat on that side here because that's an grit. That's taking more material off than what you need to versus the 350 grit wheel. The tool rest a little bit farther there, but we didn't. So I should be able to give it a little bit of an OG in there. Or not. do need a 10 to grab a hold of. So that's a really good place to get started. Doesn't need to be huge, be a set or anything like that. And we still have a huge crack, of course. Hard to tell whether that's coming, I would say it's probably coming across there. Got like spider webs around it. Get rid of it all, I'd be down to 1/8 of an inch right there, which is going to be a little thin from this side. I think the further down, the more that's going to show up too. Question is it worth messing about with? I think it is, but I think what we're going to do, I'm going to take it out, grab it with a chuck, I'm going to straighten up that side. And then I'll just put another little tenon or something on that side to grab it from that side. And I'll have total access to the bank. I think that will do us some justice. I think. And it could have been considerably smaller. I think if we clean up this side, we're going to come back to the tool rest. So we can get the whole way to the center. going to say, I probably went too far already. A little bit more. Just use the, I have a parting tool to actually go around for those chucks. Because it has some really nice figure. That's what I'm trying to save. I'll just see what we can do here. Definitely going to get rid of the tenant that's there. Try and get rid of more and more defects. Okay, so let's flatten that out. Okay. Theirs comes through to there, something like that. And I think we should like give it a mark where that tenant's going to be. Somewhere thereabouts. You knew that was a little bit big the last go around, so should be able to remove some of this. See, must be something in that knot. It just literally took the edge right off the tool. We're getting closer to where we want to be. Almost all of it going there. We got to get in there. I think we might get it. One more times we're going to start them. Like right now. Be right back. Probably, I would assume there's something in that knot. These are Thompson tools. It takes a lot to make them dull that quickly. But it certainly did. There's no sense. One of the hardest things to try and teach people is don't mess with this dull tool because all you're going to do is push harder and end up with not so good results. Yep, just a little bit left of that. I think we'll put our cleaning in and hopefully we can get in there. Like I said, whatever's there is not very friendly. It's just that quickly that took the edge right off of that carding tool as well. It's snapping, crackling, you see. And it's taking pieces of it out. Keep going, might not have anything left, but I hate filling stuff. That's what's knocking it out. There's ground, looks like there's ground in there or something. See what happens if we get around there with it. Almost. I think I could live with them little bits of cracks in here. Otherwise, you're going to be down super thin before you even get started, right? really hate filling stuff in. It almost looks like that could be what we end up doing with that. I'll leave that as a tenant, could leave that as the foot. I just don't see where I'm gonna make sure I can get away from that and have anything left to do the others, to do the inside. I think if I want to save it, I think that's what I'm going to end up having to do. I think I'll make my tenant longer. That's really, to me, is too high of a foot. So I'll shrink that down a little bit. Probably wouldn't be a bad idea to have a center point. Flip it around and see whether this comes through to the other side. Comes through to the other side, then we just wasted a bunch of time and effort. Which is going to be a shame because it is a kind of a rather pretty little piece of wood. And we're right out here, we're fat quarter already. So I think it's just going to be a sort of a, I don't know, make that kind of a shape. It'll be a challenge to follow that shape too. Bad thing is with that stuff sticking out, I can't use my finger. I would normally put my fingers back on the back, but that would not be a good idea with that. Because it definitely wants to talk to me. As you can hear, there's a knot that's coming through. I think before I move any further, think we're going to flatten that out. Use a scraper for that. Hopefully it doesn't cause me more aggravation, but it shouldn't because they're generally a little bit more forgiving. That's probably just some hellish chatter marks. And chipping an edge too. That's not a good thing. Back to the gallons. A little bit more of a round. Any place it wants to really chat, really wants to not cooperate. It's right on the very edge of the rim. A little bit of torn green there at the figure part, but I think we can live with that. Take more sanding than what I want it to, but one last try with the trusty scraper. Just don't like it out there on the road at all. Very flexible. It'll take a little bit more sanding than I like to do, but I think that's gonna work. Definitely lots of bumps and lumps in there I don't really like, but one more sharpening. I'm going to come back and you know, try one of those things. Whatever's in there, it actually knocked the burr off of that scraper. Kind of weird. It's just some. Was so lumps in there. Once I get up here, I think that's going to be about the best we're going to get on that side. Not. That's actually a hole. Chunk of material removed. Never a good thing. Let's see what it does. See what it does to try and sand it. So that was 120. That's not, it's not taking it back quick enough for me. I'm going to switch to 100. I don't really like to use the coarser sandpaper because it leaves such big, deep scratches. So if I can get rid of that, places where it didn't want to cut for me, and that's worthwhile. Good, except for that. So we can really spin in reverse. that worked. All of the little places that had a little bit of picked up grain. I sort of think this would be a project to actually put a little color to it, but I don't know that we're going to get it. And we're going to have to fill in on the back, so it's probably just going to be a natural. And cracks are coming the whole way through. That's why I didn't want to cooperate. It's flexible there. A little flexible up there too, but not as bad. Should have did that with some coarser sandpaper, not 400. Just around a piece of sandpaper. I wonder if the Velcro sandpaper though, if it ends up on the floor, the chips stick to the Velcro quite nicely. And so that side's complete. Still have some little cracks in there. In fact, it's a hole that's going to go through. We're going to do a little bit of something different with that. I think I'll put some tape over that hole in the back. Just two little places that there's little holes. I think we'll just bring it down to there. It's a shame because it's got some really beautiful feathered look in there. But I know filling them all them up with the super glue is just not going to do very well. This time we're also going to switch over to the 3460. The 3460 will allow you to do multiple coats over top of one another, which is going to be advantageous here because these cracks and holes are going to take a whole lot more to fill up. So we'll give them a little bit of time to sink in them cracks. I tap on it though. This one also has like a 50-second time delay, so it has more time than when I used on the mushroom yet, which really allows you a nice bit of time when it comes to doing stuff like this. Same as the other one. I want it to fill up the pores of the grain. And then we're going to wipe off the excess. And we'll accelerate it. And then we'll take it under the chalk, flip it over. and try and fill that stuff on the back a little bit. Stuff that needs filled. This will probably, no, they're probably, definitely will need just a little bit of a touch-up sand once this stuff sets up and cures. Because playing around over here, this started to set up quicker than the rest, of course, because it had more time. Also missing some grain up in there. Some of it actually will buff out. Probably more of it not. They'll have it not filled. Really not going to get that not filled any way I do it. It's probably trying to soak through to the other side. So just give it a nice little mist of activator. That'll start to set it off. Or will set it off very, very quickly. So now the activator's in that hole. Hopefully. The activator sticks around on a piece a while. A lot of pen turners feel they need to use activator every time, but you really don't need to. So it's still sitting on there.
Doesn't look like I totally have them filled yet. But we know we got more of the same on the back. Yeah, see there's some super wet where that was finding its way down through there. Same way there, same way. That's the knot. Probably should have did the other side before I even sanded it as well. But this will work. It's a rather deep crack right there. Probably should have probably sprayed the activator across those cracks before I put the super glue on. That way when it hit the bottom of the crack it would have started to set up. This way it just keeps filling it in. So now it needs to sit. Kind of thinking that Richard Raffin has the right idea on some of this stuff and be like, just throw it away. Excuse me. Move on to something else. But I look at it as a little bit of a challenge too. It'll be a pretty little, kind of a pretty little piece when it's done. That I won't mess with for at least 24 hours. That super glue has 24-hour cure time. Because if I was to go after it right now and try and sand that back or sand the front, either way, you'll end up finding that the super glue that's down underneath still hasn't set up yet, and then you just ruin sandpaper and have super glue flying in places you don't want it flying. So set it off to the side. There's always other things to do. Because I had another little piece of walnut. It could have some issues too, I'm sure. This we're going to grab with the worm screw. A piece of 1/4 inch plywood as a spacer. Because this is, there again, this blank is probably less than 2 inches thick. It's also already been on the worm screw once. Still has some bark on it. Bring your tailstock up just because you can. Safety first. Good enough, yes. A lot of people that use the worm screws, they do not. I just am not one of those. Got to get rid of this bark. What we don't want, first order of business. Get rid of the things that we do not want. Some of where the bark is at, we can get away with, but also some little vermin holes there. We have to do something with. Let me go back there. And we're gonna have the dust collector on. Can't be sucking that walnut dust. Apologies for the noise, but walnut is not necessarily good for you. There's still some vermin holes. Very dry, dusty, a little bit bark inclusion. So clean up a little bit of the top so we know where we're going to. And a little razor blade on the edge. So clean down about an inch, something like that. We need to get rid of the vermins. And just see the dust rolling out. So we know where they're at. Right there, there. Get rid of what we don't want. So a little sign that they're left there. Little bark inclusion there. It's probably already too small. Just a little bit. This is going to look more like a little shallow dish, I guess. finish up our 10. We have a sharper spindle down. Give it a little bit of a round. And I would say we're about done because I just heard my microphone I forgot to charge. So it's probably about ready to die, I would assume. It's blinking at me, so yeah, it's gonna be dead soon. Oh, there's still a dead coming. So see that. Just about out of vermin. We'll make it a little OG shape bowl instead. With a little razor blade. It should be nice and clean. Easy to sand. Go through the bottom while we're here. Wipe off the old burr. Make sure we're yep, outside edge is the highest point. Got a quick scan before we flip. I might actually just sand this and finish it. Call that a day. Mainly trying to get down into that little groove. The rest of it will power sand. This time I use the one for the 2 3/8. Try the speed down some more. And we could, yeah, we can spin it in reverse. It's on that worm speed really tight. One more rip to go. That side is pretty much ready for finish. Now that's the real question. Gonna make the tenant right size for the 4-inch jaws. I shouldn't leave a mark. If I do, it's going to be very small. I left the razor blade right there. Make it a little challenging to get it off without slicing my finger. Yeah, well, that one's very similar to do, so that's why I'm going to leave that worm screw right where it's at. Less than an eighth of an inch gap, that should not leave a mark on the inside. Time will tell, but it shouldn't. So I'll knock the inside out quickly. See if we got enough edge left. You could even make this a little bit of a bigger, wider rim. A little bit of an undercut removing. Look at that stinking hole. Feeling a little flat on the bottom, but good reasoning. It sounded like it's thin down there for some reason. Really, yeah, I guess it could be. Anything's possible. I think that enough for mom. That work? There's always going to be two places where it hits end grain. That should pick up the end grain. especially when you do a little bit of understock. So just sit them without the lathe running. And we'll go back to with it running. And it should be that. Yep. The inside we started with 120. We never seemed to get that quite as smooth. Nice smooth round edge to it. Much easier to sand that edge than it is to try and cut that edge. Or just chip it when you try and cut it. Should be it. I didn't do a very good job sanding that, did I? The only downfall with soft pads is it doesn't get there back with a harder pad. That soft pad there's seeing it's better than these. So let's just go back to 320 and see if it'll take those scratches out. So we put that pad on there securely. Well, let's go in reverse. Scratches is probably 120 scratches, unfortunately. There we go. That's it. Now, before we get carried away, make sure teeny tiny little marks, not enough to worry about on there. So we'll finish inside at least. Actually, all the longer it takes, we'll probably do both sides. With done. This time we'll use a little piece of polyester felt in our paper towel. Acts as like a little reservoir for super glue. This is my finish of choice. This is a Parfix 3408. I am a distributor of it. Pretty much all I use. Unless something gets some sort of paint or something like that on it, or the grain fill, then I have to do something different with it. But if it's just natural wood, this is my finish of choice. One coat and done. It doesn't get much easier than this, in my opinion. Wipe it on, wipe off the excess, and done. And then we will give it a buff once it's cured for 24 hours. You can see it pulls off, especially with the walnut. Walnut gets so much crap down in the grain. It helps to pull that out of the grain. or if you're putting some sort of film finish on it, all that dust that gets down in there just kind of hangs out and stays there. Where this gets rid of some of that. So we just need to make sure we get the excess off, because that does not dry. It will not, has no self-leveling capabilities in that one, so it would not dry smooth. It would dry very rough. Mm. Go down that road. Simple little jam block. This particular one is made out of resin. Had some resin that I did not like, so that was a perfect place to use it. I need a little piece of wax paper. We do not want any kind of surprises. A little bit of wax paper in there. And this doesn't really matter whether we're perfectly centered. It's just going to hold it. That's all it's going to do. Another little piece of felt. Make our little applicator pad. The felt just gives it a little bit of a reservoir. This is a nice little pad to work with. Makes it a little less messy. You get plenty on the pad. Go at it. Whichever side you do second will take less material because the pores are now clogged up from the other side, so it will not try and soak it through to the other side. How do we get this tiny little bead in here? We just let it run down over. We weren't supposed to run it down over there so it hit my piece of cork. Give another little drop there. That would not look very good if that was left alone in there. It needs to be all coated so it's all the same color. Do just this outside rim on that foot because I still need to sign it or something in there. Just like the outside. Wipe it dry. Here, the whole way around with that first paper towel. Try and get down in that little crack as best we can. You can see we pulled off plenty of dirt, plenty of material. And now we just work on drying it on. Wax paper makes it a little slippery though. If this sits on the surface, it does not know what to do basically. So it ends up being like a well-waxed car, after a rainstorm or something, and it'll just sit there and bubble up. bead up like little water droplets. The only difference is it's super glue droplets. Not a friendly situation to have either. Then you have to go back and sand them off. Which is not the nicest thing in the world to do. So there we go. Got to have some sort of completed piece for the end of the day. Well, semi-completed anyhow. Definitely got to get this away from this cork. Should have done that before I did that. There we go. Come off. That'll have to stand up a little bit. Yeah, it ran down underneath that cork. If I'd have let that go any another half a minute or a minute longer, I probably wouldn't have got that off of there. It will set up quickly. But at least there's something that got completed. So other than that, that's going to be about it for me. More to follow next week. Should be back Saturday evening. Till then, we are going to call it a day. Waiting for a new glow. Anybody have any questions, comments? If you're watching on YouTube, if you could hit that lovely little subscribe button, that'd be wonderful. This is being broadcast on YouTube as well as Twitch. Nonetheless, we'll see you all next week. Have a good week.